Nice swing, Tim.
Thank you. You know, one of the secrets to consistency is you have to stay centered. We talk about staying centered during yoga and during life and during the golf swing. As you watch that motion, you'll take note that with my hips are engaged with the dress, but as I make my backswing, my right hip stays inside going back. There's a slight bump to the left, and then most importantly, my left hip stays inside going forward.
Right.
You see a lot of golfers who are trying to shift their weight, they're trying to load coming down, and there's just too much slide on both sides of the swing. You have to stay centered, and that's the key to consistency.
Right. And what you're talking about there from the physical standpoint is the balance of flexibility, mobility, and strength in the lower body. And so you showed a great example of how also the hips need to internally and externally rotate without swaying or sliding to one side in the backswing or through the finish. So from a physical standpoint, I'm going to show you a couple stretches and strengthening exercises for the hips. So as we're talking about internally and externally rotating the hips, I love doing this stretch, and it's a great thing to do also if you're going out to play and just want to warm up your hips. I mean, essentially it's kind of like a stork. Right? So you just put your foot here and you just start out with a motion that's accurate and slower.
And that's basically the golf swing on both sides, correct? Your right hip is turning going back, but you stay centered, don't you?
Absolutely. And so I'm actually working on that centering, which is a great point. I can even work on my balance here and my focus and my breath by picking a spot on the grass right in front of me and focusing on that, pulling my navel in so I'm very, very stable in my core. You could do this about 20 times on each side. Now, that would be the flexibility piece for the internal, external rotation. Two more things. One is to stretch the external rotators of the glutes. So the glutes help obviously in that swing that you're talking about. So we'll cross the right leg over the left like this. You want to flex your right foot. And now you want to sit back like you're sitting in a chair. So watch my left knee. I'm not coming forward. That's not stretching my hip at all. I really need to sit my glutes all the way back. And you can hold that. Again, my posture is still very stable. My posture is still upright. I'm not coming forward at all. Okay, so that's the second stretch. And then the last one for strengthening is what we call a chair pose in yoga. So you can just start out with your feet about hip width apart, and I'll just kind of show you from the side here. So again, instead of, you can just hold the club like this, instead of bringing the knees forward, I want to strengthen all the posterior muscles of my back. So I really need to sit back like I'm sitting in a chair. And I can push down against the ground and then push back up. Now you can do that 15 times, and I'm telling you, you will really feel a good balance of that flexibility and strength in your lower body.
So again, the goal is to keep the hips centered during the golf swing, correct? So all those exercises you demonstrated will allow me to turn my hips freely on both sides of the swing as I stay centered.
Absolutely.